Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. Wife cheated and the abandoned kids, and now what's my best option? Even if it's only to rant, it's healthy for me, so here goes. My wife was having a really numerous affairs, which I discovered by chance. We married in 2008 and welcomed our kid a year later. She pushed hard for a second child right away, due to age difficulties, and we had our second son in about a year and a half. I was working 72-hour weeks while still doing most of the houseworks, since working in EMS with 24-hour shifts meant I could work 72 hours and have 4 days off. She began treating me like garbage shortly after we had our second kid, but I simply chalked it up to postpartum depression and continued to be cheerful, thanking myself blessed to have such a lovely family and proud to work my butt off 24/7 to make her as happy as possible. Except for about 2 years after having her second child, she was mostly employed, but she never shared her income or spent it on household expenses, and I never said anything. Because we assumed that because I made 3 times what she did, I'd pay for everything and she'd keep her money in her account or pillow as our savings. She began having all sorts of cosmetic surgery and other aesthetic operations after having her second kid, which she paid for out of our money. I always told her that she was beautiful the way she was, but she claimed that it would make her happy, and it's all about how she feels, so I never objected much, not that I would or could decide for her anyways. I'm sure 2 breast operations, liposuctions, and other procedures to remove C-section scars, a nose job, lip fillers, Botox, approximately 12 full-body laser hair removal sessions, and all the makeup and brand-name apparel and accessories weren't inexpensive, but I know she had a large amount left. One day, I was browsing through my phone bill to locate a number for a person who wanted to purchase a tool for me off of Craigslist a while ago and unintentionally had her number open instead of mine, my own family phone plan, and noticed hundreds of calls in the middle of the night and on days I was at work. Putting her demeanor and the phone calls together, I decided to look up some of the numbers and discovered all these individuals I didn't know. I went to her and informed her, as gently as I could, for the sake of the kids, that I had discovered she was seeing other people, and that was when my life began to spiral out of control. She quickly transformed it into me being a controlling jerk who had spied on her and checked her phone, and she became so enraged that I had to get the kids and leave because I didn't want them to go through all of that shouting and screaming. When we returned at night, she had just collected her luggage and departed. This was in 2015, and for the previous 6 years, she has been gone for months at a time, and if she breaks up with someone, which occurs much too often, she simply moves back without notice, stating it's her home and I don't have the authority to say otherwise. Stays for a time or only comes home at night, and then disappears without a trace. I don't even start disagreements with her since she has shown to be much superior to me at yelling and going from 0 to 100 and terrorizing the kids. Managing babysitting while I leave for work has been a nightmare, despite the fact that my family and friends have been quite helpful when I'm working. The divorce hasn't been finalized. I was trying to avoid hiring a lawyer to save money, since I'd wind up paying for hers as well. Dumb of me, I know, because every time we get near, she changes her mind or leaves. She has said multiple times that if I want peace of mind, I should just give her the home, take my sons and go. My bank statements reflect that I have paid every single payment, every single bill for the home, and any additional costs from day one. We live in a no-fault state, though I never intended not to give her anything because, after all, she is my children's mother, but she is not sharing any information about her savings, and I believe that in the best-case scenario for me, she gets half of everything we have, despite the fact that she has been separated and mostly gone for 6 years now, during which time I've continued to work and pay for everything, and the house value has doubled. Losing the home means we'll have to relocate, which adds to the boys' stress since they've been pleading me not to change schools/friends, but I won't be able to afford to live where I am if the house is gone. She said she doesn't want custody, but she's also said that if I ask for anything that goes against her wishes, she'll ask for custody just to keep the house and get me to pay all kinds of things. Worse, I know I'll have to take care of my kids 100% even if she gets custody because she and I both know how much I care for my boys and couldn't possibly let them have the kind of life I know they'd have with a mother who doesn't. When I was at work and she was with them, the most she could do was feed them a lunch, place them in front of the Xbox, and go to her room to spend the day on Instagram and other social media. I know I've written a lot, so I don't think many, if any, People will have time to read this, and believe me, I'm not even getting started on the kind of abuse the kids and I have been subjected to, or how she has planned to make me look like the guilty one because I've kept my mouth shut and not shared with anyone, mostly out of embarrassment. However, if someone who is knowledgeable about this subject reads part of it, what do you think is my best course of action? Do I have a chance of convincing the court to believe me, considering that everyone around here seems to accept the woman's side instantly or significantly more easily? If it were me, I'd simply grab my suitcase and leave her with everything, but I have a lot of expenses and college debts to deal with, so I believe it's my responsibility to advocate for my children's future. Story 2. I am cheating my pregnant wife with 2 sugar babes and I'm in love with all 3 of them. I need somewhere to express my ideas and emotions. What on earth am I doing with my life? I have a wonderful leadership position that pays well above average, I work hard, I have a lot of responsibility, and I have a bright future ahead of me. I'm 33 years old, have been married to my wife for 2 years, and just found out she's pregnant. I adore her. She is my best friend, she is really supportive, we get along well, we never quarrel and we spend quality time together virtually every time. The desire has waned for a while, but we are each other's companions, and I can imagine myself spending the rest of our lives with her. I, too, want children. In fact, I desired a large number of children. I've been unfaithful to her from the beginning, sometimes going to workers for backdoor since she doesn't do it because it pains her. Not just that, but the majority of the time. For vagina, I can eat at home, I used to remark, despite the fact that I was very cautious and always utilized protection. I had a crush on a coworker that reports to me a few months ago, and since I didn't want to get in trouble at work, I began looking and discovered a website where sugar daddies meet sugar girls. I've met a few sugar ladies, not many, and I thought the notion was intriguing. They might be like S-workers but amateur, and provide more of a girlfriend experience, which I prefer. It should have chemistry, and make me feel desired or cherished. I met one at the age of 22, let's call her Anna, who blew my mind. Despite the fact that our ages and levels of expertise were vastly different, I felt terrific with her, and not only. We began having unprotected after she convinced me she was clean and using contraception, and I just walked into her. It felt amazing. I believed I'd found my mistress, but she had to return to her homeland for a while, and I wouldn't see her for a few months. So, one bored day, I went back to the internet and contacted another girl. Let's name her Claire. We met, we had chemistry, we had unprotected, and then I walked in on her. She then told me that she was clean, but that she was not using contraception, and that she would take Plan B the following day. I've seen her many times since then, and I've always had it raw, but I utilized the pull-out approach. This one instantly fell in love with me and we had the best time together. Claire grew desperate and attached, and she proposed she become exclusive. I told Anna a few days before that I had met someone else, but that I still wanted to see her when she returned in August. She responded poorly, weeping and declaring that she believed I would be her only sugar daddy and that she was ready to be mine only too. We discussed it and decided to meet again when she returned, despite the fact that no compromise on exclusivity was reached. To make matters worse, I found out today that my wife is pregnant. I mean, I'm delighted about it because I want to have children, but I feel like I'm getting drawn into a tangle. So, without a certain, my wife will not take the other 2. And it seems that Anna isn't interested in Claire, and Claire isn't interested in Anna. Anna also informed me that from now on, everything must be done with a condom. To be honest, I can't decide between Anna and Claire. They're both fantastic in their own right. If I had to choose only one, it would be my wife. But as much as I would want to be wealthy and able to support my wife, Anna and Claire, as well as our families, this scenario is untenable. It's difficult to invest energy and money on 3 relationships, especially when I'm the provider for 2 of them and provide more than half of the primary one. So, what could possibly go wrong? Tell Anna or Claire what I'm doing to my wife. Or I'm caught by leaving some proof, or by my wife's friends seeing me in public. With any of them. I conceive Anna or Claire. This is simpler with Claire since the pull-out approach is ineffective. If my wife divorces me, she will be devastated to learn about the horrific things I've done. It will leave a permanent mark on her. The infant will suffer as a result of his or her parents' divorce. Even if she forgives me, nothing will ever be the same. Any of the 2 females may be laying and sleeping on the side and get an STI, which would then be transmitted to me and subsequently to my wife, which would be terrible. Even if I am successful in sustaining these 3 relationships in the long run, it consumes so much of my energy that I should be giving to my profession and family. This is a tremendous experience, but it is also quite exhausting. And all the lying, making up reasons to see the mistresses, and erasing all proof. And then there's the financial load. How am I going to deal with my family, parents, siblings or family, our friends and coworkers? This is quite dishonorable, especially for someone in a position of authority. If I avoid touch with Anna, Claire, or both, they will suffer since they are already in love. What am I supposed to do? Obviously, I understand what I should do. There will be no further communication with the mistresses after the breakup. But in my delusional mind, I still believe that one day I will be able to persuade all 3 of them to live under the same roof with our extended families, or at the very least to maintain 1 or 2 mistresses on the side. I don't feel awful about it anymore. In fact, I've never had so much fantastic in my life, but I see myself headed towards a train crash, and I don't want to stop it.